Sound the horn.
Welcome to another presentation of Rams Review, the best Rams sports show, period. It's time to sound the horn. Here's Tommy Lopez.
Hi, Rams fans. We're here outside the Student Media Center today for another edition of Sound the Horn. I'm Tommy Lopez. Joining us today, Adam Stern from the Commonwealth Times and also Ryan Stone from WVCW. We're here talking about what is a monumental period in VCU sports, a very historic week. The VCU men's basketball team beating USC in the opening round of the NCAA tournament, then shocking the country by beating Georgetown, following that up with yet another win in the round of 32 against a Purdue team that was ranked 12th in the country, also had an exceptionally good RPI. And if you were not able to see the games this past week, we're going to give you a quick recap. And also, first, guys, let's take a look at the perspective. Let's kind of step back and look at what this win means, not only for VCU, but for the city of Richmond. What do you think is on the minds of the Rams team right now?
Well, they've stated that they're excited for the city. You know, Coach Smart said that the team's happy to, bring the city along with them, and the city is absolutely buzzing right now. To have, as many teams in the Sweet 16 as the Big East, that's pretty special.
I mean, yeah, this is like the biggest time we've ever seen for Richmond basketball. Richmond and VCU making the tournament Sweet 16 at the same time, and even Dick Vitale called it the hoops capital of the world yesterday on Twitter.
And both the Georgetown and Purdue wins, not exactly close games. The games were certainly spread out at the end. The victories seemed in place a few minutes before the end of the game. And guys, this is really now almost a brand new Rams team. We're seeing energy on both ends. We saw great defensive performances. We saw great offensive performances, particularly the 94 points scored against a Purdue team, guys, that's just one of the best defending teams in the country.
Yeah, and their coach, Matt Painter, said after the game, they said at one of the timeouts, they said, guys, you're going to give up 100 points if you keep defending like this. And I think what you see with VCU is that they're able to slowly chip away at teams, keep the defense, and then once their three-star hitting, next thing you know, teams are down 15 points. And when VCU is able to withhold that lead and keep it there, teams can't come back.
Yeah, when the three ball is falling, this team is almost impossible to beat, especially against Georgetown. They were 11 of 25, which is almost 50%, that's almost unbeatable, especially in the NCAA tournament.
If you would have told us that VCU was going to shoot over 50% against one of the best teams out of the Big Ten, best teams in the country in the round of 32, we would have said, well, no way. But again, this seems to be just a renewed team, a different team than we saw, particularly at the end of the regular season. And guys, we can't forget that this team lost its last 4 conference games, went into the CAA tournament with maybe not the biggest of expectations, was able to beat a very good George Mason team and hang tough with ODU. How do you think this team has been able to do what it's done? I know there's no easy answer to that question, but if you had to pick maybe one thing or one guy or set of guys, how has VCU been able to?
It all starts with Coach Smart. They refocused after February. They had the preseason goal of the Sweet 16. That's where they are now. They thought they were good enough. Whether other people did, that's open to the interpretation. But their preseason goal was Sweet 16. They didn't have a great February, and they were able to regroup, refocus, and they were able to put together a great turn of results.
Coach Smart has a lot to do with it. You also have to give a lot of credit to the senior leadership, especially Joey Rodriguez. During that Purdue game, you could just see how much he dictates the game. And even Matt Painter talked about how he dictated everything they did in the post-game press conference.
Certainly so, and the analysis surrounding VCU's selection was really pessimistic that they shouldn't have even been in the tournament. But VCU proving everyone wrong. On to, again, the Sweet 16. It'll be a Florida State matchup on Friday. Just before 10 o'clock, that game will tip off on national television. So, guys, I know you guys will be in San Antonio for the game. What can we expect from this Florida State team? They were able to beat a very good Notre Dame team in their last game. What can we expect?
Well, they're very good on defense, and they combine that with a great deal of athleticism, and that's a scary combination when you have both of those. They're similar to Old Dominion or Drexel in that they like to pound it in. They have a player that could be an All-American in Singleton, so they're definitely going to be a tough team to beat.
They're going to be very tough. They beat a Duke team was a number 1 team in the country for most of the season, and they do it with their athleticism and their defense. They're like ODU, but they're longer, which is scary. And they beat up a Notre Dame team. That game was not close. The score was closer than it actually was.
The one thing is that the matchup versus Purdue wasn't supposed to be a good one for VCU either. So if they get the 3-ball going, that's when VCU kind of might be able to break such a tough team on defense.
The thing is, Florida State more than likely not gonna blow anybody out. So VCU, as long as they can hang in there and play good defense, and then if the shots start falling, they have a very good chance of still winning this game. That's the good thing about this matchup.
And the point spread, the experts are kind of saying between 3.5 and 4 points, favoring a Florida State team out of the ACC that did very well in that conference, not unlike what Purdue and Georgetown were able to do in their major conferences. So again, guys, taking another step back here, looking at some of the other implications that are surrounding what this VCU men's team has been able to do. We talked a little bit before we started today about money. How much will the VCU men's program make just from being in this game?
Well, they've already helped contribute to $9.8 million that the CAA has amassed in general, and that's going to be distributed between all the teams, but, more so to the teams that have gone to certain incentives that the CAA has set, having a good RPI and whatnot. So almost $10 million already. Definitely a good moneymaker for the league.
And Ryan, as we've seen, it's not just money, it's also recruiting that teams, especially mid-major teams, will see as they get farther into the tournament.
They have 2 3-star recruits right now that are both 6'8" power forwards that are considering coming to VCU, and you have to wonder you have to think that this is going to really help push VCU over the top in the recruiting process.
It certainly could. So again, VCU, the men's basketball team, coming off its biggest win in program history, the stomping of the Purdue Boilermakers in Chicago in the round of 32, on to the Sweet 16. And I know we look forward to seeing how things will shake out on Friday. For Ryan Stone and Adam Stern, I'm Tommy Lopez. Go Rams.